Meet Ajibola Bamidele. Our convener, Ajibola Bamidele, is a transformational business leader, strategist, and the CEO of Certification Edge and founder of Seed Academy. With over 2 decades of experience developing leaders and transforming organizations across Africa, he has empowered thousands of professionals and businesses to achieve measurable growth through leadership, execution, and capability development. Recognized by The Guardian as one of Nigeria's most inspiring CEOs and by Vanguard as one of the country's 50 CEOs of distinction, Ajibola opens Beyond the Olodo with The Invincible Prison, a thought-provoking session that explores how conditioning quietly shapes our decisions, limits our potential, and ultimately determines the life we live.
Good morning, everybody. So I'll just be going straight to what we have to discuss. And the reason behind this event, looking up to a lot of amazing speakers, I know it's going to be a powerful session. You're going to be having the best of time today. But to start with, there's so many stories that propelled this conversation. Beyond the Olodo uprising, viral content that came up about a few weeks ago, which compelled us to have this conversation and try to come together and see how we can make our nation better than where it is today. We know where we want to go. We want to be great. Everybody here, sometimes when you hear their vision is massive. You know, when you sit with people, everybody have great hopes of a very great future. And and in my life, I've seen that dreaming alone does not get you to the future. Even when you have big dreams, everybody that's ever failed before had big dreams. So really dreaming, if people say if you fail to dream or if you don't have a vision, you're not going to be great. You can have a vision and you're still not great. You can have dreams and you're still not great because when you don't do the right thing, you don't walk towards it, you still won't be great. So basically, we want to have certain conversation. And when I knew that this event is very essential, is my travel all over the world. You see, the more you travel to different parts of the world, the more you know that we have a long way to go. And we must start making deliberate and conscious steps towards moving to the future. Because the Chinese proverb will say a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a step and it also ends with a step. So if we don't start taking this right step in the right direction, we might not get there. We might hope all through our life that we're going to get there, but if we don't take the right step, so the step begins with everybody here. And if we can just decide to change our lives, to begin to implement all the things that you're going to be learning today, there's so much from different facilitators that are going to be sharing with us. And I can tell you, these guys have used these things to take themselves from the back to the front and want to share with you throughout today. Now, I most times when you start thinking global, you start seeing we have a lot of bottlenecks, a lot of things that immediately you mention the name Nigeria. You see, I can tell you the moment you want to travel or you want to do things globally, you want to open business globally, and you mention you are a Nigerian, then you start having a lot of roadblocks. You don't know how bad it is until you start trying to navigate yourself across the globe. So most times when you think local and you're thinking local alone, how do I survive in Nigeria? You might not see the need for this conversation because you're not trying to benchmark yourself against global best practice. So let's take, for example, people that studied engineering. If you're someone that studied engineering here, probably you did electrical electronics or you did something, if you look at the trend of what happened when you were doing your project, those who were helping you do that project were people that didn't go to school, electrician and all that. That should tell you that the level of, should I say, the knowledge, the skills we build after leaving school is just not enough to get you ahead very well. And when you see people say people travel out of the country, they're looking for jobs, they could not get jobs. You see, even within our country, the more you look for talents, and Nigerians don't like hearing what I want to say now. When you have a role and you have two man to fill, people that in HR can testify, and you want to make it objective, you end up seeing that you have to interview over 200 for two men. And you're wondering, especially when your organization wants to compete globally, or maybe you want to put in you're playing in a space that your market is no longer Nigeria alone, your market is across the globe. You start seeing that getting talent to play in that market has become an Herculean task. And it's time for us to look into what can we do. People tell you when you want to if you fall sick, you now know we don't have an hospital. I can tell you if you don't, you just have to pray that you don't fall sick. The day you fall sick is when you know that you have a long way to go because you go to hospitals and you know that this is not an hospital. So mediocrity has become the order of the day. The lack of excellence has become the order of the day. I was here many months ago. I was flying. I wanted to go have a conference in Kuwait. So I needed to fly through my host booked, should I say, Egypt Air for me. And for the first time in my life, that's the first time I was flying Egypt Air. I was livid all to the flight because of the quality. And I called my friend and I said, "Come, why did you book this flight, Egypt Air? Why am I flying Egypt Air?" The guy said, "They're very good flights. I use them every time." I said, "No, no, no. What I can see here is terrible." So when we landed in Cairo, and the plane that boarded took me from Cairo to Kuwait was amazing. Same Egypt Air. So when I was navigating my route back, I went through Ghana. So before coming to Nigeria. So now I got into the plane. The plane that was going to Ghana was beautiful. I can tell you, most times, everything we get in this part of the world is there was time somebody called us shithole or something. Is it Donald Trump that said shithole or something? And everybody was angry and all. Is the worst of everything you can ever get in the world that comes to this place. And so many times Nigerians protest, why will you do that to us? But the question is that what are we doing to ourselves? If you look at our convenience, our restroom is the worst you can ever see in the world. If you get to the airport, and you now you now see that, man, we have a long way to go. But that's what we use. So what people do all over the world is to send us the worst of things because we don't also treat ourselves well. And I can tell you, this meeting will help us start reconditioning the mind. And how do we help this nation become better? Now, if you look at me, I put up this, I said, where did it all start? You end up seeing that as a country. Where did it start? About 3 years ago, Turkey started chasing major Nigerians away from Turkey. Currently now, you cannot move the roads of Turkey and you're a Nigerian and you're not with your passport to see that you're going to be impounded all over the world. So you're just hearing about America alone. No, no. I was trying to navigate a company. I was trying to register a company in Doha a couple of months ago. Immediately was going well until they know that the green passport I'm about to use. And we started having issues. We started having issues. We started having needs to bring someone from different parts of the world to come and be part of the partners. There's so much. So how did we get here? Nations don't decline overnight. Somebody said, failure is few errors in judgment committed every day. You die and you fail instrumentally. It doesn't happen once. So they decline one decision at a time, one decision at a time. As much as we say a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a step. Now, the journey of declining also begins with taking the wrong step every day. So our actions have gotten us to where we are today. And that's why we're trying to talk about some certain things that you might not know that has kept us where we are. Now, let's say, for example, I said this a lot. I said in one of the videos I posted that when anybody in the country, and it started many years ago when lecturers go on strike, they're on strike for many years, many, many months. Sometimes some people get into school, they're meant to do 4 years, they're doing 7 years. I can tell you. So now at some point, you could see that the educational system started, depreciating. This is about 30, 40 years ago. This is not something that just started. And we were not taking this thing seriously. We're just like, oh, don't worry, it doesn't matter. Somebody said, everybody says it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. You soon know that matter is something that have weight and that occupies space because everything counts in our world. So where did this start from? Now, if you look at it critically, the more sense you post online, the more likes you don't get. The more nonsense you post, the more you get likes. Think about when people started twerking online. Are you not seeing how people got millions of followers twerking? I remember there was a lady that was twerking Arise O Compound Trust. Arise O Compound and then you're gonna see a lot of comment. Wow, wow, do it this way, do it that way. And you come and say competence is very important. I beg, stop this competence issue. So the world, if you look also at some point, whereby when I remember many years ago when they were doing competition, this physics competition, science competition, what we just do is to gather and just clap for them and give them 100,000. You let someone go to Big Brother house, you give 40 million, 50 million. Someone that passed science very well, that cleared A's, get a handshake from president, and that just 100,000. So if people really want to be successful, we can see what we reward in our environment. We reward mediocrity. So instead of celebrating competence, character, look at what happened when Japan lost to this match. Was it Japan and I've forgotten now, the World Cup? Japan played a country a few days ago, and they were practically picking the deaths at the stadium. And most times, if you look at it in this part of the world, if people start picking deaths in Nigeria, if people they didn't throw, everybody will condemn that person. Will condemn them. Ah, come on, this guy does not have, because we don't have character. When people do what is right, somebody found $1 million in hotel and went to go and redeem it to the police or the owner. People will come. It seems your father have done this. It seems you don't have, and you are poor. Hey, I can never do. So we don't celebrate people doing good anymore. In fact, people online are the ones. I remember something happened many weeks ago. The people that, should I say, that the bandits, this Oyo State something. So the bandits were distributing money online. Did you not see it? That Nigerians said, let me drop my number. Please give me the money. Give me the money. So we instead of celebrating competence, character, excellence, we celebrate connection. People will tell you that it's not about what you know, it's about who you know. So people are not thinking that excellence anymore. Everybody thinks mediocrity because it's about if you know your way. His own knows way. You see, people even motivating you in school. Even students will tell you, it's who knows way that will pass. It's not. So you end up seeing that from school days. People were doing settling. I don't know. They were doing settling. People had to one settling lecturers. Lecturers started sending handouts many years ago that if you don't buy handouts, you fail. Look at where we're coming from. That's where it started from. So we have become a nation where nonsense makes sense and sense makes no sense. Nonsense makes sense. Sense no makes sense. So where mediocrity has become the order of the day, while competence and excellence are increasingly undervalued. So does this sound familiar? Let me show you this. A company had 2 employees. Aisha consistently delivered results. Now, Aisha solved problems, improved processes, mentored colleagues, and was widely respected for her competence. Everyone expected she would become the next manager. Instead, the promotion went to what? Kunle. Kunle wasn't the strongest performer, but he was highly visible political guy. Everybody knows him. He carries the MD's bag. It's everywhere. And he maintained close relationship with leaders, even when he was not solving problems. But to run is close to leaders. He was the one that leaders talked to, spoke confidently in meetings, and had become the face of several high-profile initiatives. Within days, the office was divided. Some employees concluded competence doesn't matter anymore. Others argued results alone is no longer enough. A few quietly stopped putting in extra effort because when you see people reward the wrong, people stop trying. In those days, people that read didn't. I remember when I was doing my master's program, and in Nigeria at some point, in my class, we of course, when you were choosing you don't choose your supervisors. They choose that for you. So I just left it. I didn't know that that's not true, that you have to go and still settle to choose your supervisors. So at the end of the day, people that didn't settle are the ones that they give the worst supervisors. People that settle went to the supervisors that can say, let my people go. Supervisors that want thoroughness, we call them wicked in those days, were given to us. So by the time we went there, you see that in getting many things, small things in Nigeria, people just believe that don't worry, just settle. You don't need competence because what we reward is bad. The same thing in organizations. People don't believe in solving problems. People just believe in being close to the boss, being the person playing politics around. And the more visible it is, you get it. Think about our politics. Think about who gets ahead in politics. Is not the most competent. In fact, the more competent you are, the more Nigerians will not vote for you. Because what determines whether you get that ticket is not competence. It's majorly your popularity. It's majorly your influence. Now, are we saying influence is not important? No. We want competent people to be influential, not incompetent people to now have influence, and they're the ones getting to the top. Look at this. A university celebrated the graduating class. The top students had spent years studying late into the night, weekends, earning straight A's, graduating with distinction. We said here that their reward was a certificate, applause, and a handshake. A week later, a 22-year-old contestant won a national dance competition, and a few minutes performance, she received how much? $100 million. So if we were you, after having straight A's, and you were given applause, and somebody else just danced for 5 minutes, and he made $100 million. Tell me, what do you want to become in the future? Do you want to become someone that has straight A's, or someone that got $100 million? That's why it's so difficult to convince the youth that building competence is important. I said in the video I posted a couple of days ago that it's a country whereby people's head is not straight, but they wear bone straight. People carry big handset, bigger than their mindset. You see that the person that is holding 3 million naira phone, the mindset is crappy. And that person feels so good. So it's a challenge that we have. So because the country reward what is bad, it's so difficult to promote the good. Look at this, merit over representation. I remember this story, I coined it yesterday. There was a time some people, medical school, they did very, very well. They had good grades. But because of where they are from, they said, no, we cannot only choose people with good grades. We have to also mix it with people with low grade. Even when you have low grade, your JAMB is 175. Someone that had 350 in JAMB, but because they are too good in this area, will not make it. We'll still want this, we want this fairness. We want this, which I support federal character. However, what I support is when we say the standard is 350 and everybody from every part of Nigeria must be represented if they score 350. But if someone did score 350, I remember in those days, and that person still made it, we have a problem with mediocrity already. And that's why in those days, when people don't score well in JAM, they say, oh, I'm going to this area in Nigeria. I will get the course, and they'll go. They get the same course. So the question now says that, how will it be mediocrity? How will we have bad systems? People don't become what we preach. People become what we reward. Incentives shape behavior. Behavior shape culture. Culture shapes the nation. So if we don't start rewarding the right things, then we cannot get people to repeat the right thing. Then if people are not repeating the right behavior, then we cannot build a great nation. So what we have gathered here for today is to confront a nation where nonsense makes sense and sense makes no sense. To confront a nation where mediocrity is rewarded while competence is questioned. So I want to welcome everybody because I meant to introduce this to you guys. Welcome you to this edition called Beyond Olodo.
The reason your business is stuck isn't strategy. It's you and your team. Now, imagine what happens when you grow and your team grows with you. Check out some of our programs. They're content-rich and deeply experiential. See, at Seed Academy, we help founders, managers, and sales team to lead, manage, sell, and succeed. Let's build the team that builds the business. Talk to us today.
Seed Academy, your growth partner.
Pastor Jimmy did a great work. Additional did an amazing work. I love the flow. I love how he brought in another way of seeing what the incompetent are doing. Who we termed incompetent is saying that if the competent start doing those things, then they should learn from them. He told us a lot about why certificates can also be a plague, not making you get into the rings and burn your bridges and know that you are in for it. Most times the certificate we have, we believe it's enough. We believe it's enough. It's just the beginning. Like I say, certificates are just basic, stupid course. BSc is a basic that everyone in the world, anyone now, the only reason why you have BSc is probably you are poor, or maybe maybe you're not privileged, but everyone should have BSc by now, But I'm going to start my conversation from a different angle, and I'm going to make you see certainly that give a story of one of my distant cousins that she couldn't get into school. She couldn't get into school. She couldn't get into HN Polytechnic also. So while she was just wandering around for several years, they decided to encourage her to start something, just to go to school, just do as if you went to school. And guess what they recommended? They recommended that she should go to teacher training. Hey! Now, this girl went to go and do NCE and finished. And when she came back, I asked her after 7 years, I said, where are you working now? She said, she's now a teacher. Then I said, yeah, there's a challenge, war. If this, my cousin, can become a teacher, then the students she's teaching is the Lord that can give them a future. Because you cannot be better than the teacher teaching you. How can a pity a pity? Now, the interesting part of this is I'm meant to sit on why we got to where we are and how can we solve it. We've seen why competence is good. We've seen beyond competence, there's so much we need to do. Being showing up every day, being crazy about yourself, being crazy, confident about what you have to do. But however, we need to start looking at our environment and look at nations. I love Pastor KG said something about countries that are great now, like China. And when we look at all the society, we know definitely that some people are locally rich, but they are globally poor. And I'll tell this, some competency that people have, like I told someone I made this ago, I said, don't pray that Nigeria should be better than how it is, because the day Nigeria is better than how it is, you will lose your job. Why? It's the only country that can promote someone that have not grown, that have connection, that can still get the job, that someone that didn't pass JAMB, but that can still be in medical school, someone that still didn't, so someone that boycotted everything. And that's why people say, it's man or man that matters. It's man or man that matters. It's not about competence. However, we're not saying it's only competence that can get to the top, but that's the beginning. But the people that we say that even competent are not competent enough because they were trained by the incompetent. So when you look at where we are, I said something here, I said, can I ask us a difficult question? And we've seen that from additional session, that we acknowledge that in Nigeria, we reward stupidity. When people when the stupid show up very well, he has a follower. So what we are acknowledging is that in this part of the world, we don't reward invention, we don't reward engineering, we don't reward medical, we don't reward, but we complain about not having good, by not having good institution. We complain by not having good government. But the question is this: our society does not really reward those things. And here I said, why competence matter? You see, when you look at American soldiers and you see the way they react, the kind of people there, the kind of people that became soldiers, or the police, the kind of people there that became police. Now, who are those that are becoming police in our country? Now, you end up seeing that we say the police are bad, the police are bad. The question is that what's the criteria of being part of the force? Maybe it might be O level. And when you look at it critically, the reason why we're having insecurity is a competence issue. The reason why we're having bad hospitals, things not working, is because the healthcare professionals are not actually very competent. Now, when you look at it critically, that when somebody tells you, when I traveled, if the person traveled out of the country, when I got to US, somebody said, the doctors will say they have to go and unlearn and relearn again. Schools with less competent teachers produce less competent graduates. I remember in school days, when a lecturer says it's not coming, every one of us are happy. When the lecturer said, I won't be coming for 3 weeks, yeah, thank you, sir. Now, we just ask him, can you just give us handouts? He said, yeah. Even when the lecturer gives us handouts, we ask him, where's the AOC? Because this handout is even too big. And we're happy. In fact, we say AOC is not good enough. Say, child, give us questions that will come out. We're just going to read questions and fine. And we were gradually, our competency gradually declined over time because of the kind of lecturers, because of the kind of school system, because of the kind of excellence these guys are pushing. Because you might not even know how bad we are. Governments that reward loyalty over competence struggle to deliver lasting national progress. Businesses that tolerate incompetence lose customers, productivity, and profit. And a nation that consumes technology without building competence will always depend on others for innovation. So why competence matter, you can see a lot that if you want to have a beautiful country that will compete with China, that will compete globally, that will compete with all the developed world, we cannot do it by bad competence. We cannot do it by those twerking competence or this kind of competence. We don't build nation that way. However, even though it's profitable in Nigeria because that's what we buy, we buy what is not sellable globally. And the question is, how do we play? Since we say it's the global village, how do we play in the global world? That's the challenge. So that we start having higher GDP, we start having talent taking over the world in different areas. So these principles that hold every society, including Nigeria, wherever competence declines, institutions become weaker. Wherever competence is rewarded, institutions become stronger. So and the competence we are looking at, you see people travel every day for medicals across the globe, to Dubai, to China, to India, to America, to UK, for basic surgery. People don't stay within the country. So it means that things that will make our life better, we don't have the skills for it. Okay? Things that will make, so if we want to make our life better, we depend on shipping in skills from abroad to help maintain it, to help making it better. So this is, and you see us all every single year, everybody sending children abroad, sending children abroad to go and study. Somebody is finishing BSc, masters abroad. Somebody is finishing O levels, masters abroad. That should tell you that the only way we can build a great nation is when competence is centered to what we are looking for. You see, I've been an advocate for competency for over 25 years of my life, sharing thoughts and making people see that illiteracy, something we call educated illiterates. When you think you know and you don't know, that's what we are. People have graduated as BSc and you just feel that I'm done. Have you not seen what we don't subscribe to lifelong learning. Competence is not just a personal advantage. It is the foundation of safe hospitals. That's why, have you not seen when you go to a doctor, how many you see a doctor that look at your face and say, oh, don't worry, don't do tests. And doctor is also checking Google and checking ChatGPT. So what's wrong with you? My eyes are red. The doctor is typing ChatGPT and saying, oh, if it's red, then ask. Now, the doctor you even have cannot even tell you, cannot use style to say, he's still asking what ChatGPT is saying. He said, if it is red, ask them whether it's been itching for years. Has it been itching for years? Now, how do we practice in such environment? So, competence is the foundation for reliable infrastructure. And I will show you that competence is not only book, it's even character. Have you seen that our character is so bad in this part of the world? Let's say, for example, somebody mentioned instant gratification. Because there are in psychology, a need for instant gratification is too high. That if you have someone that you love so well, that is asking for money, maybe they want to borrow money, the first thing people will say is, I don't have money. Because you know that if you want to keep that friendship, you cannot borrow him money. So, because you know that you borrow people money and they will tell you to your face, hey, is Nigeria not owing? You can't stress me. And you see the person crying before. We lack character. So competency is not only book. So when we're going to look at all these facets in the next 10 minutes, I'm going to share this. It goes beyond that. We need character, we need competence, we need intelligence, we need everything we can ever need to make Nigeria a great country. So how do we build competence? Number one, a nation builds competence by rewarding merits. Merit-based admission merit-based recruitment, merit-based promotion, that you don't need connection to get to any institution. So know you are good, you get it. If we always need to know someone to get into anything, then we are rewarding the wrong. People pursue what society rewards. And that's the challenge we have. So our nation cannot be great if we don't start rewarding merit. Number two, if we don't make teaching attractive, the good will not go and teach. In fact, people go and teach when they feel they failed. Let me just start life by being a teacher, at least before I get a good job. So you have frustrated beings meant to power the future. And some parents don't now even have time. You know, someone that is not A, the A has gotten to industry. Someone that came up with the lowest are the ones doing NCE. They're now the ones that will teach your children for the future you are working for. What will those children become? If the teachers in school cannot even teach you, you know already that the teacher, the school you are sending your children to, this teacher, you yourself that is not a teacher, you need to teach the teacher. So the quality of the nation begins with quality of its teachers. So if we don't start having children desiring to be teachers, eloquent, great in science, and saying, I want to impact back, I want to give back, then we have nowhere to go. Number three, investing in learning for a nation. You see, somebody said, if you want to keep something from a black man, you should keep it in the pages of the book. Think about it. 80% of people here, if I start asking, what's your learning budget? Fixing the mind. People have more budget for self-care, have budget more for stomach infrastructure, more than mental infrastructure. You see, people have not even carried, some even people that even try to even carry book, they will hold book for years, but they won't read the book. In fact, some people now, what they do is to buy the book so that they look as if they are reading. And you see the book in the person, have you finished? And I've not finished. This book, I have been carrying it for 3 months, and he's still trying to read the book. That's where we are. So it looks as if they are reading, but they're not reading. That's where we are. Have you not seen people that go for masters that didn't attend classes all through masters and they have master's certificate? So we're a country that wants people to think we are doing something, even when we know we're not doing it. So we must invest in learning, change our curriculum. You know, I love some schools in Lagos, but those schools, I can tell you, those schools that are still looking like school, not cool. Because schools that are looking at school, they're very expensive. A common man, that's why if you're not careful, don't wait for about this. A common man that is sending his child to a common school. We have common knowledge now because government is not spending to ensure we fix the society via education. Now, reward problem solvers, scientists. Don't let us only reward, even when we know that the people that show up more are the people that are unintelligent. But we must start rewarding people that are intelligent. We must create a society that the people that we reward are people based on merit, and instead of merely celebrating fame. So we want people to respect people, not for what they've done, but for what the fame they have. At the end of the day, we are telling our children that seek fame, don't seek capacity, because we don't reward those things. Build strong institutions that reward competence, integrity, accountability, result, not merely tenure or relationships. So how can businesses build competence? I've told about, the first thing I did is to teach us how a nation, because we're going to cascade it down to individuals. A nation, how can they build competence? And we've looked at that. I said they should reward merit, they should elevate teaching, they should invest in learning, they should reward problem solvers, and they should build strong institutions. So how can businesses, so if you're an entrepreneur and you have a business, how can you build competence? Number one, I said, hire for competence. Don't hire for scarcity. Don't hire for convenience. Hire for competence, though it will take time. now because get the time to fill of getting talent in Nigeria is not easy. Our yield ratio is very low. No, okay, no, okay. If you're not competent, anybody that doesn't have capability should not get to the top. The reason why people get frustrated is that sometimes we've promoted people that are not capable, but they won't leading us. I won't mention names. There's so many times, there was a time whereby people were condemning, what do you call it? People were condemning the former president. And I told people, I said, come, why did we vote? We voted because the person has integrity. The person did, it's not that the person had built a business, and we said this person knows economics. We voted for integrity. And guess what? The president lived also the same thing. We've not heard that he stole money. And that's what we voted for. Why are we condemning him? We didn't vote for capability. We didn't vote for competence. We didn't vote for transformation. We voted for integrity. And the president leave was fit for purpose. Build learning culture. Every employee should become better every year in your company. As an entrepreneur, if you're a small business, give books. Let people read, discuss them among your people. Even when you don't have money to train them, start a culture whereby people have different modules they learn so that they can grow. We call it giggle, garbage in, garbage out. When you say, you people cannot think, what did you put inside that will make them think? Because it's only what is inside that will make people think well. If there's no data, what do we want to analyze? So build learning culture. Reward performance, results, people that are solving problems. You know, if you look at the Bible, you see that people that got to the top are people that solve problems. A prisoner got to the top because he became second in command. They fired the person that was in that position for him just because he solved the problem. Look at Daniel, he solved the problem. Look at David, he solved the king's problem by playing the harp such that demons can come out. The question is that which problem are we solving? The reason why people are not pushing to be problem solvers is that because they still get promoted by not solving problem. Some people at work cannot write on their CV the problem they solve. When I got to the company, their customer satisfaction rate is this number. But when I got there, this is what changed. When I joined, their followership was this number, but this is what changed. Some people don't have measurable, because understanding that organization. That's why so many companies have different heads. And they call them head count, even though those heads are not counting. So reward performance. Coach leaders. Because we said the young shall grow. How will the young grow when we are not intentional about building the young? Managers should build people. One of the major things, I remember when I was a Forever Living product, one major thing is that until you become, you cannot get promoted from being a manager to senior manager if you've not produced 2 managers. Now, you cannot be a diamond manager if you've not produced 20 managers. So it depends that you cannot get to where, what can get you to the top is only your capability in duplicating yourself in others. So we must build leaders that can coach others, and also we must have zero tolerance for incompetence to reign. Remove persistent incompetence. There's some people that you've coached several times, they will remain the same today, yesterday, and forever. We call them statue. No matter what you say, they will never change. If you don't replace them in your business, they'll become a bottleneck for growth. They become a bottleneck. They will create a culture of a culture of non-performance. So remove persistent incompetence. Families. Now, how can families build competence? Because we have to scale it down from the nation to businesses to families. What do? Teach your children discipline. Doing what they have to do. Some parents now carry their children's bag. You know, the children. So we have dogs, but we back ourselves. They don't allow that. They are raising handicaps. Teach your children how to read. It's a world that they're so distracted. If you're not careful, Children will not know. They say, I can only watch video. I've seen some adults that say, I only learn by watching video. I said, hey, this one is serious. You only, when did you say, I cannot read, I can only watch video? Hey, an adult. How much more children? Teach them how to read. Let them be curious. Teach them how to always look for the cause and effect. Teach them how to make research, how to be responsible for their other sisters, for their other brothers, also responsible for other people. Teach them how to clean what they didn't whatever they didn't destroy. Their debts on the floor. Let them pick the paper. When we're growing up, we pick the papers of everybody that didn't. We won't start giving excuses. I only pick papers that are true. No, you make sure the school is clean. You are not thinking about the one you threw, but it's about the cleanness of the school. Teach them excellence in everything. So from home, don't teach them how to lie. Some of us, what we do sometimes is to just play TV and say, the children should be watching TV throughout the day. You are destroying them. You are destroying their character. From home, so many people are building weak children that cannot compete, that don't want to do great things. You see, when Additional was talking, those training that we got when we were very young, they were training for hardship. When we're carrying water, when we're selling things, you know, how many of us have carried bread on head before? Bread, yo. Have you carried bread? Have you carried this? Have you prepared zobo? We grew on the farm. You know, so we learn rigor. We learn grit. Those things are home training. That's what Japan spent their first 10 years teaching their children. Character. Family must train children. Then individuals can now do things. You need to build competence yourself. As an individual, you need to build competence yourself. What do? Learn. Use your YouTube time to learn something different. Whatever you want to be skilled into, increase your learning hours in looking through those things. A lot of us are not deliberate. We're on YouTube, but we're not really tubing anything that's going to solve our problems. We're just there by default. Some people are online. You're just there. You're just smiling. After every school, you smile. After every school, you smile. You spend 3 hours instead of you investing those things in skills you need to build. Learn. And learning is not enough. Because when you learn and you don't use, you have knowledge constipation. Because until you use, you don't know, you've not started learning. Through experimentation, you need to practice. And so many times when you use what you learn, you will fail. It's good. It's part of learning. Okay? It's part of learning. So you need to fail. Somebody said the best way to learn is to increase your failure rates so that you can do the things you don't know. I remember the words of Steve Jobs. He said, we will fire you for not making mistakes. He also said, we'll fire you for making the same mistake twice. Meaning that you must learn and grow. You must try and grow and improve yourself very fast. I remember the words of Gary Hamel. He said, when the change around you is more than the change within you, your hand is near. You must improve very fast so that you are so good at one thing that everybody is asking after you. Now, the question is this. What are people remembering you for? What pains will people go through that you will be the top of mind? He said, people, my phone is always buzzing. Buzzing for what? Buzzing for people that just want to greet you. Hello, how are you? I don't want to greet you. What kind of people don't remember you for any problem? Now, you will not make money. Improve yourself very fast. Learn from others. Repeat again the cycle of learning, practice, failure, improve. It's a cycle. Learn, practice, failure, improve. The LBFI cycle. You constantly do it every time. Make sure every day you're learning. And also, to be competent, you need knowledge, you need skills, you need to be human being, character, you need to build grit, resilience. You know, you need to build all this character in yourself. Because if you have knowledge and skills and you lack character, you lack execution. People don't pay you for your intentions. People pay you for your inventions. Nobody ever rewards someone that will say, and I want to do. People only reward you for "I've done." And continuous learning. I remember Joseph Juran that was talking about quality continuous learning. If you don't constantly destroy the old, you will not have evolutionary advantage. The scripture says, except a corn of wheat falls into the ground and dies, it abides alone. Your old skills must die for new ones to come. You must continually learn. Look at the age we live in now. AI is everywhere. What are you not learning? Some people will say, I was in a lift in Abuja one day, and the guy the lift got stuck. And the guy said, hey, this AI thing, oh. I said, what is AI and lifting now? You see, that should show how people are just hearing it. Some don't even know how to use it. Like I told people a few days ago, I said, hey, if you don't know how to use AI, AI will amplify your stupidity. It will show how stupid you are. It is what you feed in. Say, AI, I want to write a letter. Write it. Which letter you want to write? Is AI in your brain? Some people will not write. They will not write nonsense. They will even remove AI. They will even copy. They're so bad to a level that they still copy the prompt of AI. At the end of the day, do you want me to do more? And they put, do you want me to do more? Also in the message they're sending. What every nation should reward. As I'm writing number one, every nation should reward learning. Every nation should reward character. Every nation should reward merit. Every nation should reward accountability. Every nation should reward excellence. Nations don't rise because they are rich. So we're talking about the pillars and all. It's not being rich that makes nation rise. Nigeria will not get to the top because we have people that are rich. They don't, because we have a lot of numbers. Oh, Nigeria are over 200 million, 300 million, 400 million next year. Nations don't rise because they are large. Nations don't rise because they are lucky. Nations rise because they consistently produce people of value to the world. Have you ever seen anybody shutting any nation against Indians? There's nowhere Indians go that they don't get to the top. If you go online now, if you want to learn anything, it's Indian that will teach you. I want to teach you now about something. Now, that should tell you, nations rise because they have competence. Imagine in Nigeria where every school produces competent people. Every school. Then every hospital employed competent professionals. Every business rewarded competence. Every leader valued merit. Imagine a Nigeria whereby every citizen are committed to lifelong learning. That Nigeria would not merely survive. It would compete with the nations in the world. And that's where we want to go as a country. We want our country, Nigeria, to compete. And the only way we can compete is not to increase your dance as speller. It's not to do a lot of things, even when it will profit you in Nigeria. But you'll be locally relevant, but globally irrelevant. We need to now, on the global scale, we want to be relevant globally. We don't want to celebrate mediocrity and say mediocrity is giving money. Oh, if you just have bomb and you do BB, you make money. That's not what we want to celebrate. We want to ensure, because people that have BB are making money. So you say, I don't have to read. All I have to do is to make BB. That's not what we're saying. We don't want a nation that will be known for things that are not exportable. We want nations that will be known for things that's making America great, that's making China great, that's making India great, that's making UK great. We want a nation that everybody will come to in the future and can send their children and say, if they stay in Nigeria, they will be great. We are losing that. People don't want to keep their children in Nigeria because they know if you're not careful, if you stay too much in Nigeria, you might not be world class. It takes a lot to break the shackles what Nigeria will put on you. So, as a round up, ensure a competence central for your children. If they're struggling with any course, ensure that you are part of it. Like I tell people, I'm always part of my children's struggles. Reading, studying, helping them build mental muscle for the future. In your own life also, you have been doing one job for long. But you cannot just upskill. You cannot build competence because you lost that capacity in school days. Because you grew by setting. It's time for us to make a change. If we are deliberate in the next 20 years and we start building the right capacity and competence, Nigeria can still move from a third world. It's too long that we have been third world for long. There must be a time that we move from third world to second world, and I don't know, maybe while we are living, I don't know whether we'll be able to see us becoming first world, but at least it will be good for us to see us move from third to second. Thank you for having me here. I appreciate your joining us. Thank you very much. Do you have questions as round of my session? I guess I shot about 10 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I don't think you people are I don't think you heard everything I heard. Please, I want you to thank and appreciate Mr. Ajibola in the comment section. That was a very, 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 very robust session. And I think Mr. Ajibola brought it home, if you ask me, right? Because we've discussed everything. Okay, how can we move forward? How can we move forward? One, the companies, the workplaces have to hire for competence. They have to look out for competence. Now, the families, before you even have the chance to enter a company, you're first brought up in a home. So how about the families, the moms, the dads, the aunties? How about we actually train in the right way? Not poverty-stricken training, not, actual competence building right from small. So we have, I don't know, if you have questions, please do raise up your hand. And there is one here. The person said, in an environment where classism has increased the gap between the rich and the poor, therefore denying many the ability to locate the true value called basic standard of living, how do we bridge this gap? That's the first question from this person. Then secondly, I strongly do not see the Olodo uprising as a thing of concern because the intellect failed to be involved and compete in the ordinary business of life. So he's asking, how do we bridge the gap? That's in an environment of classism between the rich and the poor, denying many ability to locate true value, that's basic standard of living. How can we bridge the gap? Yes, so that is the question that came in. Yes. So there are other questions, but
How can we bridge the gap of what?
Okay, so in an environment where classism has increased the gap between the rich and the poor, therefore denying many the ability to locate true value. That is, the person is saying true value in the sense of standard of living, right? Basic standard of living. So a lot of people, there's this gap between the rich and the poor. So many cannot even locate true value, standard of living. So he's asking, how do we bridge the gap between the rich and the poor, basically, I don't know if the person that asked the question is here. I think you might need to actually throw more light on this question. But yes, that's the question that came in from this person.
Okay, so you see, if I tell you a bit of my story, I started my life from, in 1992, was sent out of the house. I was living in Ibadan and we could not afford to pay. We could not afford to live together as a family for like 6 months. So I identify with someone that said there's a class gap, there's a gap in the. However, you see, there's no other thing that can bridge that gap beyond competence, because that's the only thing that can make prisoner come to the throne. Competence. If you are good. So what we just need to focus on, you see, if we focus on the environment, we focus on the things we cannot change, we will not move, because there's largely what we can change. You can change to become the best Uber driver when you are driving Uber. Not your car will be good, clean, speak well. That's what you can control. But you see, in the things we can control, you're in a unit, but you are the one that will still come late. You're not, and that's not poverty. That's character. You are in an environment, but they told you to clean. A cleaner but she cleaned as though there's not been cleaner assigned to that restroom. So the question is that all of these things, when you get better at one thing and you're the best at it, no matter how small it is. I remember the words of Michelangelo. He said, if you are a cleaner, he said, clean so that the angels of heaven will look down and will say, who is this cleaner? In the little things, you are a nanny. Are you giving your best? Are you taking care of that child to a level that the place you are living will take you everywhere in the world because you're doing it well? So gradually, in the things we have in our hands, let's leave the things we don't have. Let's start talking about the things we have. That which we have, if you do it well, it will scale in your hands. That's the process of life. Just focus on what you have and don't complain about what you don't have. But make sure you are so good at what you have that kings will look for you.
All right, thank you so much, sir. I hope that was able to answer that person's question. There is one hand up. I think we can take that last question just before we close. All right, Jeremiah, please go ahead.
Hi, good morning. Sorry, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you very much, Mr. Ajibola. Thank you so much for everything. I have a question. All right, so my question is, what kind of value, or okay, first of all, is value limited to only skills alone? Like, must you have to learn coding or must you learn, one or two things before you can offer value? Or what kind of value set do you think one should have? Thank you.
So we said skills, we mentioned several categories of value. We talked about dependability, character, competence, because have you not seen tailors that are very good that people are still not giving jobs to because they will always disappoint? They're not dependable. So it is a systemic thing in all areas of life, even how to treat one another. Look at we have someone talked about social capital, networking. All these things are part of things that make you memorable or make people remember you. So the value goes beyond only skills, okay? Skills. Also, you need to build other social capital, character, all the things we mentioned so far, exposure. So value is about how are you transforming you to be someone, to be a go-to person to solve people's problem, and it's about what problems can I solve. Somebody mentioned, that a vulcanizer is solving tire problem. So whatever problem, something you're doing, but something, there's some organizer that people will prefer going to that person. Why? Because when they go to him, they have a great experience. So even among vulcanizers, what determines the vulcanizer to be very rich is also other things beyond the technical vulcanizing competence. There are so many things that you need to build to make him a complete human being. So competence and skill is just one of it. If you are good at one and you're not good at the other ones, you will introduce what I call the multiplication of zero, whereby the ones you are not good at will nullify all the other ones they are good at. So it's a comparison. It's not one area.
The Mavericks Leadership Center, raising iconoclastic leaders.